Howdy hi ho everyone, Craptastic Jack here, welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be talking about The Crew, just as a franchise. The Crew 1, The Crew 2, and The Crew 3. Okay, not The Crew 1, but The Crew 2, and possibly a future Crew 3. And the possibility of The Crew just as a franchise going free to play. And by the way, got my new standing desk, and I'm standing, and I love it. I absolutely love it. What are we talking about? Well, recently Ubisoft in a shareholders meeting basically discussed the future of Ubisoft and the games that they're going to be putting forward, especially when it comes to their big franchises. And they talked about how they're kind of going to be stepping away a little bit from just producing AAA games and focusing more on creating free-to-play games within the franchises that they already have, like the big ones. And we're talking about like Assassin's Creed and The Division. However, Ubisoft didn't name drop any franchises. They just said major franchises. They're major franchises. And we don't know if Ubisoft considers the Crew franchise as a major franchise. So the main question, ladies and gentlemen, is The Crew going free to play? Let's deep dive right in after I explain that 69% of you fine folk are not subscribed to the channel, yada yada yada. I know you're sick of me saying it. Like, look, I'm down bad, okay? I just need subs. Regarding the Crew going free to play as a franchise, me and a friend were talking about this a couple years ago, and my friend, Straight Up Hippo, even made a video on it, which I'll be linking down below in the description. And he made a video basically discussing the possibility of the Crew as a franchise, especially the Crew 2 going free to play, especially since the game, even back then, with all the vanity items and everything going on, it was starting to feel a bit more like a free to play game. And the game was definitely struggling back then to garner people playing it, and it still more or less is today. There's definitely less people playing the game. More people have bought the game over time, but there's less people playing, especially as a lot of the core fan base is leaving the game because of said free to play implementations. And also just the fact that the game itself at its core is an MMO. That's also a big reason to why a lot of people were considering going free to play. A lot of people thinking it was going to go that direction. The game, probably out of all the other major arcade racing games like Need for Speed and Forza, The Crew being a free-to-play game would probably make the most sense. Now, there's been talk of The Crew 2 going free-to-play in the past, like I just said. However, that talk has been reignited because of Ubisoft and Ivory Tower's recent implementations into The Crew. We're talking the execution of daily contracts, which allowed you to grind for crew credits, which is the buyable currency with like real world money, and also the implementation of the battle pass or the motor pass, which you have to spend 80,000 crew credits on every time, and you only get 40,000 crew credits back. It's not like battle passes in Call of Duty, Warzone, or Fortnite, where if you actually, I almost knocked that over, where if you actually completed said battle pass, you actually get refunded, either refunded the full amount, or you get the next battle pass for free. And those games are still free to play games. They're not $60 games like The Crew 2. So like Ivory Tower and Ubisoft are definitely implementing a lot of stuff into The Crew and The Crew 2 that definitely reeks of a free to play environment. And we're not even jumping on all the vanities that they're adding and all the just cosmetic and all that shit that you typically see in free to play games. Like The Crew 2, unless you know already that's a AAA game and you just see gameplay, you're probably gonna assume it's a free to play game at this point. I mean, it's obvious that Ubisoft and Ivory Tower need money. I mean, Ivory Tower even came out and said, we're putting out these free updates, we need money to support it somehow. And unfortunately, they, instead of making an expansion like they did with The Crew 1, they're resorting to just putting out these really small updates every 3 months, with half the content being locked behind a paywall. With the content drops recently, especially with the episodes and seasons, it leads me to believe that they're kind of testing the waters for future content delivery in future titles. And these titles, like these seasons and everything, you see it with Warzone, you see it with like Fortnite. You see with these free-to-play games. However, with the Crew 2, it's obvious that they're working on something in the background, because it's obvious that the content they're putting out, especially recently, has been very lackluster. Only a few couple races like every 3 months, with half the content being locked behind a paywall. It doesn't take a genius to know that they're probably working on something in the background. I don't know where I put my tinfoil hat, but we're gonna put on our tinfoil hat because it is time for Fox News Impersonation Hour. We're gonna go full fucking conspiracy theory here, my friends, because again, they're definitely working on something in the background. They're not putting out their full potential. There's no doubt in my mind that they're working on something bigger in the background. And I have a feeling it's a third Crew game, considering that the Crew 2 has been out since 2018, 3 years of content, and the content's just getting less and less and less throughout the years. You can tell their priorities are elsewhere. And it is very possible that they could be working on a Crew game, the Crew 3 or whatever, that's free to play, and where all the content is delivered in the same way that the seasons are and the episodes are delivering content. They're probably, it leads me to believe they're testing the waters for that type of content delivery. And again, this is all just speculation. You have to take everything I say with a grain of salt, because again, it's Fox News Impersonation Hour. I'm just a raging conspiracy theorist. But it does ask the question, especially with Ubisoft coming out and saying that they're want to make more AAA games and the battle pass and all this stuff going on, like the seasons and everything. It's like all the puzzle pieces are coming together. It's like these are all different puzzle pieces. And also just the fact alone that the Crew at its core is an MMO game. It has been an MMO CARPG since its inception. And I honestly think that the Crew as a free-to-play MMO, if done correctly, could actually thrive, and especially if they work on it, implementing proper crews, like joinable crews where you have more than like 4 people at a time. Like if they implement that type of stuff, then the Crew, a free-to-play Crew, could bring new life into the franchise. I honestly believe that. But on the other hand, if it's done wrong, it could just kill the entire franchise. Let's face it, free-to-play games are on the rise right now, and the Crew going free-to-play can be a massive boon to the franchise as a whole, and it can even be a big boon to just arcade racing gamers as a whole, especially if the game goes free-to-play and it's a bunch of people going into the game because it's free-to-play and enjoying it and spending money on it. Then at the end of the day, that's a lot more money that you're getting into your game, into your franchise, to reinvest into your game with new content, new cars, new different like improvements to your game. But Ivory Tower needs to learn how to actually fix their game first, because they haven't with the Crew 2. Maybe it's because they have a lack of money. We don't know. This whole free-to-play thing could actually be a big fix for the Crew and all the problems that Ivory Tower has with funding and all this, or like trying to fix their game. What do you guys think? I mean, after all, Activision is making more money off COD Warzone than Black Ops Cold War. Like, Warzone is more popular right now than the most recent Call of Duty game. That's a bit nuts. Maybe it's because the most recent game, Call of Duty game, is poo poo pee pee. I don't know. I haven't played it, but like that's just insane to me. And Fortnite has made well over $15, and by well over $15, I mean well over $15. They've made a boatload of money. They made a Colombian drug cartel worth amount of money. Like, they've made so much money off Fortnite. And we don't have any massive free-to-play arcade racing games. We don't have any. The last one was Need for Speed World, and that made quite a bit of money for EA. However, when it stopped making money, they shut it down. But I feel like nowadays, with just the landscape of gaming, where everything's going, subscription services and free-to-play and everything, I believe that there might be a good future for the Crew as a franchise going free to play if done correctly. But of course, if they fuck it up, they fuck it up, and you know, that's that. We may end up seeing the Crew going free to play. We may not. We don't know. But that's it for me tonight. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'll see you all later, and I hope my Nikon has not just blurred my face this entire fucking time. Have a good night, everyone.